when I arrived in Italy, and war was as foreign to me as the gun I carried on my hip, and so were soldiers and armed people, and a country under the rule of Germans who were just kicked out of Naples. And so when I came into the war, and it was all new to me, the Italians had just been pushed along or pushed northward, and Naples was filled with American military people. And that's how I got my taste of the war. Almost the first day I was there, I was itching to see what the devil the front looked like, and I had heard about it. I had heard about it since I was a boy, and the movie came out with a fellow, Lou Ayres, and All Quiet on the Western Front. And it moved me so that a soldier was killed after the armistice had been declared. And that's how it ends, where he's in a trench, he reaches out to touch a butterfly, and he's killed. But he shouldn't have been shot because the armistice had already been declared, but the soldiers in the trenches didn't know it. So I had this burning desire to see what the front was like. I always had that in my head. Not so sure I'd go back now, but I came into this strange land where everybody spoke a foreign language to me, and there was evidence of the war in all of the buildings and all of the geography. It took almost a year for us to move from Naples to Milano, and in Bologna I joined a band of partisans led by a quite attractive girl named Maria, and she was a very nice girl too. And they had killed one fascist. They hated the fascists. You can imagine how, if you, as an American, if somebody had taken your home from you and you had to go on seeing somebody living in your home, and that's how it was to the partisans, who were a private band, not an army of any kind, but a private group of citizens who went after the fascists, who were in truth working with the Germans. And that's why they became so well hated. And the fascists lived very well, whereas the common Italian populace they had no sugar, they had no white flour, they had no coffee. As a matter of fact, toward the close of the war, I traded 3 pounds of coffee and $30 for a $450 Hasselblad camera, most magnificent camera I've ever seen. So the partisans were the force within the Italian people, of brave people who worked undercover and went after every fascist that they could.
When you joined, when you got to Bologna, you joined a band of partisans.
I did indeed.
Which was not common for an American soldier.
Quite the opposite. But I was fighting the German army and the Italians, fascists, and I didn't care what was proper and what wasn't proper. They were catching all of the people who had been cooperating with the Germans. In other words, they were the Italian people's enemy, the fascists were. And so I joined the partisan group at a little table and a little blue card with my name. And I think that years later, when I was visited by the FBI in Los Angeles, turned in by an art dealer in Los Angeles who worked at the Hatfield Gallery in the Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles, he had reported me as being a member of the Communist Party, and 2 FBI men came to my house and threatened me and my wife using very bold tactics, one where one would get you upset and the other would smooth the waters, a tried device. And I called my Uncle Charlie, who was a chief deputy sheriff to the sheriff in Los Angeles. Biscaluse, was that his name? In any event, he said, tell your nephew to kick the bastards out of your house. And so I came back and I told the FBI exactly what the instructions were from the sheriff of Los Angeles, Eugene Biscaluse, and they left. And I thought about joining the partisan party. I had a little blue card, and at the top of it, it stated, Comitata, etc. And I thought it said Comunista, and I thought, holy God, that was in 1945, decades before. And did I join the Communist Party? No, I found the card. I have it today here in Bakersfield in my file cabinet, which I can't find right now, but it's there, and it says Comitata Partigiani. And now I'm holding pictures of that scene.
Well, show us your band of partisans. Show us Maria.
The band of partisans led by a woman, a young lady, quite attractive too, and there she is with the partisan, the fascist that was captured in the center, and they were taking him out to kill him.
Wow.
And that's the last I ever saw of him. But she wore a pistol and she had a carbine too, as the others had, rifles, and they were gathering up fascists and killing them one by one, as here in this wall, which
Well, show the wall before it became the shrine.
before it became the shrine.
Because this is at the Piazza Nettuno.
Yes, well, it's nothing but a wall on a public building. I forget if it was a monastery or it was several things in its life, but it was a wall where they killed the fascists and then established a shrine.
And it has the fresh blood on it.
Oh yes, in the bottom, right, it's very clear to see the fresh blood. And that's what motivated me. And then, of course, people came and brought pictures of their loved ones that had been sent to the Russian front, in the Italian army, and of course, virtually imprisoned by the fascists, and Benito Mussolini and his henchmen. And so this shrine stayed in my memory, and this is the picture, a photo I took at the time. This painting that I did when I came back to America. I had a Guggenheim Fellowship, and I was on a mission to paint further things, further images of the war that perhaps I felt I wasn't able to do under the army auspices as a soldier, but I was very free to protest the evils of warfare. I certainly didn't enjoy war, but all of these people in these little photos against this iron flag, this Italian flag, which, as if you remember your history, there was the House of Savoy symbol, sort of like a shield in the middle of the white panel, or the middle panel of the green, white, and red. And that House of Savoy symbol had been taken off, removed, cut away, and they put a black ribbon right here at the top in commemoration of those who died under the Nazi regime. So this shrine, I became, having been there and seen it start, the instigation of it, and watched the people milling around and bringing photos of those people who had perished under the fascist yoke and the Nazi yoke, and fascists, of course, became indelibly etched in my mind, and I never forgot it. Well, I wanted the shrine to be a part of the public domain. I wanted America or Italy to own it, but the only people who wanted it, I should not say the only, the people that wanted it were the Smithsonian Institute, and I gave it to them, and they hang it, and it is very well taken care of, and it is a very important painting, first in my life, second in the life of American conflict, and third to all people who love freedom. It was that important to me. You don't have an opportunity to be part of anything important very often in life, and I knew that this was a turning point in our march to victory in Europe, in Italy in particular.
And I know you consider this probably the finest painting that you have painted.
I have two of the finest paintings I ever painted. One hangs in your home, having bought it back from a purchaser many years ago, and this one. And as far as my career goes, I hadn't given much thought to how important my work was in the war, because my purpose, and I volunteered into the Army. After 5 years of art school, I volunteered. I was not drafted. I did want to get rid of Adolf Hitler and Mussolini and the other guy, Tosho, whomever he was in Japan, who came in later. I was trying to, because of my parents and their difficulties in Europe, when they were young, I wanted to get rid of this Nazi evil monster Adolf Hitler, and so it was in me, and that's how I became so ardent a soldier. I didn't know much about soldiering. I didn't own guns. I was not a marksman or a hunter. I just wanted to get rid of Nazis and fascists.
Well, thank you, Dad.
Yes.
That was excellent.